One of the biggest problems that faces non-resident LLC owners is opening a U.S. bank account. There are very few banks that allow non-U.S. residents to open bank accounts remotely. So in this video, we're going to review the best options for that still work in 2026. First up is Mercury, which is probably the most well-known name on this list. Mercury provides business checking accounts, ACH and wire transfers, debit card, integrations with major payout systems like Stripe, Shopify, and Amazon. To open a Mercury business bank account as a non-resident, what you're gonna need is a legally formed US LLC, an EIN, and a valid international passport. You also must provide your state-filed formation documents, such as articles of organization, articles of incorporation, or a certificate of formation, whatever applies to your particular business. When it comes to your address, Mercury accepts overseas residential addresses for personal KYC verification, meaning you do not need a U.S. residential address. However, the business address requirements are where non-resident applicants usually run into some kind of problem. While your main operating address can be located outside the U.S., the bank requires a physical U.S. legal address. PO boxes and CMRA addresses are not allowed. Now, some applicants with registered agent addresses have been approved, but others with the same setup have been rejected. It's really kind of a crapshoot. Now, if Mercury doesn't work for you, a lot of people like to use Relay, previously known as RelayFi, as a backup option. It offers a lot of the same features as Mercury. You get your bank account, ACH and wire transfers, software integrations, invoicing, all that stuff. Required documentation includes your formation documents and your operating agreement. And for non-U.S. residents, you also need to provide information on the source of funding for your business as well as your personal income. Relay also requires a U.S. business address that is not a PO box and not a virtual office. Now, this can be a registered agent address, but all applicants must also provide an operating address and a personal residential address, and neither of those addresses can be a registered agent address. I know it's a bit confusing, so hopefully you got that straight. Keep in mind that the bank may also ask for proof of address like a lease or a utility bill. All proof of address documents must be in English or professionally translated into English. Third name on our list, not as well known, it's Row. Similar basic requirements, you're going to need your formation documents and an EIN. When it comes to address, all Row says on its site is that you need a US operating address. They don't define what that means exactly, but all we know is that virtual addresses are not allowed. Another option is Lily. They're less than 7 years old, and they're pretty friendly to non-resident LLC owners. What you're gonna need is your EIN letter as well as your articles of incorporation. Regarding that address issue, they're a bit more vague about their requirements, but they say that your personal residential address and your business operational address can both be located outside the US. Some people say online in different forums that Lily is fast and relatively easy with approvals, so definitely worth a shot if you're having trouble with other banking options. The fifth and final name on our list is Bluevine. To open an account, you'll need a valid passport with on-camera identity verification, plus your EIN and gross revenue figures. All applicants must also provide a legal US address, which interestingly does not have to be a physical address, but it cannot be a registered agent's office. And of course, that's kind of the opposite of what most other banks want to see on this list. Now, one thing we need to keep in mind with these online banks, these neobanks, is that strictly speaking, they're not actually banks. They're what we call financial technology companies, or fintech. Essentially, they are software companies that partner with real chartered banks to provide banking services. Now, why does that matter? Well, first things first, the third-party bank, they're the ones who make the rules. If they don't want to open an account for you, they can reject you with no explanation whatsoever. Not to mention that fintechs are constantly changing who they partner with, so the rules are always in flux. Now, as a lot of you know, or maybe you've discovered this yourself, is that probably the biggest source of rejection for non-resident LLC owners is lack of a real U.S. presence. Basically, what we're talking about is lack of an address. And to the bank, that looks risky because if you don't have a U.S. address, then you might be a shell company, and really they're supposed to know under federal law who their customers are and where they operate. Quick plug for ourselves here at Nomadpreneur. We can get you a real U.S. office location that comes with a lease agreement that you can use as proof of address. It's only $19.99 a month, so if you're interested, check out the link in the video description. No matter what you do, just remember when you're filling out those forms, never, ever, ever put down a CMRA registered address. That stands for Commercial Mail Receiving Agency, and it's the fastest way to get your account and your application instantly rejected. Bottom line here, as we just reviewed, a lot of these banks, they don't want to see PO boxes, virtual addresses, so make sure you use some kind of real office address that is actually a place, a physical building that you can go to. If you got something out of this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We have a lot more content coming for non-resident LLC owners. And if you have any experiences with these banks or another bank and you think it will be helpful, make sure to leave a comment. We really would like to know what has worked for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.